Hello everyone, myself Dr. Nancy. I'm working as assistant professor in City University. So today's my topic is clinical trial. So what are clinical trials? So clinical trial is a set of a systematic investigation in human volunteers as well as we are done on the animals. So let's start with the basic introduction. Clinical trials. So clinical trial is a systematic investigations in human subjects for evaluating safety and efficacy for a new drug. Clinical trial is a set of a test in medical research and drug development to generate the safety and efficacy data for the healthy volunteers as well as in the patients that is suffering from any disease in any new drug. Clinical trial is the manifest for bringing out the new drug into the market. So what are clinical trial? Clinical trial will include research involving studies. We are trying to clear the scientific questions regarding the safety and efficacy to prevent any disease, drug and any new medications that will become under for the treatment of any disease. We are also translate the results of basic scientific research into the better way for prevention, for treatment and to treat the disease. In clinical trial phases, we are having different phases. We are having preclinical study that will be held on the laboratory study as well as on the animals. Then we are having phase 1 studies that will be included in clinical trial, that is also known as a drug development process in clinical trial. So in phase 1 we are taking healthy volunteers, means human volunteers that will be include 10 to 20 patients that will be held on days or it will be include so many weeks to complete phase 1 studies. After that, after completion of phase 1 study, we have to go for the phase 2 study. Phase 2 study, that is expanded efficacy. We have to check on the human volunteers. We are including 100 to 200 patients for evaluating safety data in clinical trials for any new medications. In phase 3, that is also include in clinical trial, we have to go for the more numbers. We have to go for the 1,000 to 3,000 human volunteers or patients that will be included in phase 3. In phases of clinical trial, we are having drug discovery and drug development process. In drug discovery, we are having laboratory as well as we done experiments on the animal. That is known as drug discovery phases. We have to discover the drug which are used for any new treatment, for any new medications. Then after completion of our preclinical studies, that is also known as a preclinical study, then we have to file for INDA submission. After INDA submission, we have to go for the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. As you know, phase 1 we are include the study in a small numbers. We are taking only 20 to 30 patients. In phase 2 we are taking 100 to 300 patients. In phase 3 we are taking 1,000 to 3,000 patients that we have to check the efficacy as well as we have to check the side effects and their safety evaluate. Then in phase 4, that is known as post-marketing surveillance, that will be your that is known as your drug is going for the market. For the drug development process, we have to file for INDA submission. For example, we are done any preclinical study of any new medication. For suppose you are taking any new medication, metformin. This is the ongoing medication which is used to treat in diabetes mellitus, and you are making any new medication that will be known as your test medication. So you have to go for the preclinical study, you have to take the laboratory testings as well as you have to take the animals. So for that, after completion of your preclinical study, you have to file for INDA submission, that is known as investigational new drug. Then US FDA will ask for description of the drug, chemistry, preclinical information, any human previous study, any investigation, any clinical development plan and protocols or investigation which is submission for the phase 1. So that is known as investigational new drug which is undergoing US FDA. US FDA means United States Food and Drug Administration will ask all of these things. Then after completion of your preclinical study and filing for INDA submission, then after that you have to go for the different phases in clinical trial. As you know, in phase 1 we are taking small healthy volunteers, small healthy people. It will approx take 20 to 50. For the first time, it will evaluate the safety and determine the safe dosage range. Then after complete of your phase 1 study, we have to go for phase 2 study. In phase 2 study, we are taking 100 to 300 patients to check, to evaluate the safety and efficacy as well as. Then after that, we are going for the phase 3 study. In phase 3 trial or study, there is a large group of patients, that is 1000 to 3000. Effectiveness to monitor the side effect, as well as we have to compare it with commonly ongoing medications which are marketing in already for any particular disease. Then after complete phase 3, we have to file for NDA submission, that is known as new drug investigation. Then after that, we have to go for the phase 4. In phase 4, you are doing post marketing study. We will evaluate the drug risk and benefits, and we have to know about the optimal use of any new medications which is ongoing in marketing. So this is the drug development process chart. As you know, it is already include preclinical study and clinical study. So preclinical, we are doing initial synthesis, we are doing description, chemistry, SAR, we are doing laboratory studies on animals. So after this completion of your preclinical study, we have to go for INDA submission. For INDA submission, after the INDA submission is completed, we have to go for phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3. This is known as your clinical trial or clinical phases. Then after your phase 3, we have to go for NDA submission, that is known as new drug investigations. So for that, we have, after completion of NDA, new drug approach, we have to go for the post marketing surveillance, means your drug is going into the market for the optimal use to identify the risk and benefits. So it will take approx 6 to 7 years to find any new medication that will be going in the market. So there is a different ranges which are available. For preclinical, it will approximate take 1 to 3 years. For FDA submission, it will take 30 days to review your data on the basis of preclinical study. Then after FDA will approve your clinical trials that will be conducted on human volunteers or human patients, it will be take approximate 5 years. It will take 2 to 10 years. So if we are taking average, it will include only 5 years. Then after that, you have to submit NDA. After the NDA submission, after they review your preclinical phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, then they will be include all of these detail, then submit it to NDA. Then after they will go through all of this data, then it will be going for the phase 4 study. For drug review, so before one initiate testing in human, extensive preclinical or laboratory research is required. So research usually involve year of experiments in animal as well as on the human cells. If this stage of testing is successfully, then the sponsor will provide the data to the FDA and request for the approval to be testing in human volunteers. After complete your preclinical study, if the testing is successful, then the sponsor is produce the data to the FDA. Sponsor will go for the FDA filing for INDA submission application. Then after the submission, after the request approval begin, then you have to go for the preclinical to clinical trials. This is known as investigational new drug application. So in preclinical evaluation, that is also known as animal study. In preclinical evaluation, we will do pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic study. As you know, in pharmacokinetic means it will include absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Pharmacodynamics include mechanism and the adverse effects. So pharmacodynamic study is in vivo in animals, it is a in vitro preparations. Then in pharmacokinetic, we will deal with absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion of any medication that will be going in this process. After this, we will also evaluate the acute and subacute chronic toxicity studies also, toxic profile. After this, we are also do the therapeutic efficacy. We will check the efficacy of any new medication, their safety that will be going in market. After preclinical study, we have to file for INDA. Successful submission of preclinical, then we have to go for the INDA applications. So clinical evaluation needs prior regulatory and phases wise clearance has to be obtained. The end of the result from phase 1 to phase 3 is filing NDA, new drug application, for obtaining market permission from the DCGI. DCGI, Drug Controller Governor of India. So in phases of clinical trial, we are having earlier phase, we are having late phase, we are having post marketing phase. So for first we have to go for the preclinical study, then we have to file for IND. After submission of IND application, we get approval for the clinical, we get the approval to take the human volunteers. So in the earlier phase, that is known as phase 1, which will include the human pharmacology. Then in phase 2 we are taking the therapeutic exploratory. Then in phase 3 we are taking the therapeutic confirmatory. In phase 3 we are also evaluating the safety, efficacy of any new medication. Then after that we have to file for NDA, new drug application, after the completion of phase 1 to phase 3. Then we have to file for NDA, new drug application. Then after the approval from new drug application, we have to go for the phase 4, that is known as post marketing surveillance. So for this we are evaluate the drug use and their risk or their benefits profile, that is known as therapeutic uses in the market, that your medication is going into the market. So this is the preclinical, this is the basic difference between preclinical phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 and phase 4. So in preclinical it will include labs and normal studies. In phase 1 the safety people, it will include 20 to 80 patients. Then in phase 2 we will take the study safety and identify the side effects and measure effectiveness, 100 to 300 people we are doing on. In phase 3 we are taking 1000 to 3000 patients, so it will give you a measure effectiveness or to monitor the side effects in a large number of the people. Then in phase 4 we are doing the monitoring long term side effects while your drug is already in the market, they are prescribing for any medication, so we are taking to monitor the drug use and drug risk. So in clinical trials we are having different types of blinding. So we are having unblinded and open labeled. All the parties are aware of the treatment the participants receive. So in different phases, whatever the participants we require, the human volunteers we are required, the sponsors we are required, the data analyst we are required. So for all that, first we are having unblinded or open label, means everyone will know about the treatment, everyone will know about the medication which are used for the human volunteers, as well as to the all parties, that they are aware of the treatment, which treatment is going on. Then next is single blinded or single mask. Only the participants is unaware of the treatment they receive. Only in this, only the participants is not aware what medication they are taking. Then in double blinded or double mask, the participants and the clinicians or data collectors are unaware the treatment that patients will receive. In triple blind, the clinician, data collectors, data analyst are all unaware of the treatment that participants are receive. So these are the types of blinding which will be held on clinical trials. So microdosing, that is known as phase 0 study. So this is the earlier study of the pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic properties to potential the drug in humans. Microdosing approach could accelerate drug development without compromising clinical study. Microdosing help researcher for better their drug candidates for the clinical trial for providing earlier human pharmacodynamic study as well as their bioavailability data. In microdosing in phase 0, it is also known as phase 0, there are certain advantages. So it is less chance of having adverse effects, it is a short duration of a study, it will taking less number of volunteers, it will reduce the amount of drug development as well as it will reduce the drug development time. Limitations. So study mainly based on PK parameters, means pharmacokinetic parameters. There is a no efficacy or no safety based. Agents having different kinetic characteristics between microdose and a full dose are not evaluated by the phases of 0 trial. Of limited use, we are having no any linear limited PK, that is pharmacokinetics properties. The laboratory parameters are limited and expensive. Next is your phase 1. In phase 1, this is the first stage testing in the human subjects designed to assess the safety and tolerability. We are taking 10 to 20 to 25 healthy volunteers. We are going for the PK and PKD study, pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic studies of the drug. So we are taking the patients, for example, any patient that is suffering from AIDS, any patient suffering from cancer. So we are taking anti-cancer medication, we are taking anti-AIDS or AIDS therapy medications. So the duration of the phase 1 is 6 to 12 months. So there is a no blinding will occur. Everyone will know this is the open label unblind. In phase 1 clinical trial, the aim of the phase 1 is to trial to determine the maximum tolerated dose, that is known as MTD, of any new treatment. MTD is found by the treatment dose until the dose limiting toxicity is reached. So in phase 1 we are having different kinds of phase. We are having SAD and we are having MAD. In SAD, this is known as single ascending dose study. We are giving only single medications to the patients to assess the safety and data. In MAD, we are giving multiple ascending. We are giving multiple medications to the patient. Then we have to do for the blood test after every hour or after several hours. That is known as MAD, multiple dose ascending studies. Then food effect. Investigator difference in absorption caused by the food. There are various factors which will include in the absorption, factors affecting absorptions. Then in single ascending dose study, there is a small group, means 3 of the subjects are given for the single dose of the drug while they are absorbed and tested for a period of a time. If no side effects, dose is accelerated within 3 new healthy subjects. If toxicity is absorbed, then 3 more subjects are given the same dose, and if found any toxicity, the dose is considered as the maximum tolerated dose, that is known as MTD. In multiple ascending dose, conducted to understand the pharmacodynamics and pharmacokinetic studies of the multiple doses of the drug is given to the patients. So a group of patients receive multiple doses of the drug. We have to take the samples, their blood sample, their body fluids, and collected at the various times of points. We are taking at the intervals of the times. Then we have to analyze the data ki how your drug is proceed within the body. In phase 2, next is your phase 2, that is known as therapeutic exploratory trials. We have to go for the 200 to 300 subjects to confirm effectiveness, to monitor side effects, and to further evaluate safety. First, in a patients who have the disease that the drug is expected. In phase 2, we are taking the patient that is suffering from any particular disease which you are going for any new trial. So this is the duration is 6 months to the several years is conducted for this study. Then in phase 2 objectives, the phase 2 objective, first it is efficacy, the primary object, it is efficacy in patient, to check the efficacy. The secondary object, we will evaluate the safety issues. For the optimal dose finding, and it will also find, we are also find the optimal dose. Dose efficacy relationship, we will find therapeutic dose regimen, we will find duration of the therapy, we will also know about the frequency of the administration and the therapeutic window. In phase 3, that is known as therapeutic confirmatory trials. So it is large scale, multi-centered, randomized or controlled trial. So in phase 3, we are taking more than 2000 to 3000 patients. It is held on large scale. Multi-center means we are going for the multiple centers to collect the patients that is suffering from any particular disease. It is a randomized and controlled trial. Then target population, it is several 200 to 3000 populations or a patients. It will take up to more than 5 years. So what are the object? To establish efficacy of the drug against existing the therapy in large number of the patients, methods of usage, and to collect the safety data or more things. So in phase 3, so we will assess overall and all relative therapeutic values of a new medication to check the drug efficacy, safety, and special populations. And we will determine the optimum use of any schedule for use any in journal. We will also optimize the dose regimen in the should be that will closely as possible as anticipated in the clinical uses. So for NDA, new drug applications, for the new drug application after the approval of your phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, we have to file for NDA, new drug application. For the new drug application, the formal proposal for the FDA and DCGI to approve your new drug for the scale. So for new drug, that is your new drug will be go for the proposal for FDA, Food Drug Administration and Drug Governor of India, Drug Controller Governor of India will approve your new drug for the sale. It will provide the sufficient evidence to provide to FDA and DCGI to establish. They will review on the basis of drug is safe and effectiveness, benefits outweighs the risk, proceeds labeling is appropriate, NDA contain all the information that is gathered during the preclinical to the phase 3. NDA can also thousands to the pages as long. It can also take 2 to 3 years for the FDA to review your all clinical trial. It will go for preclinical as well as for the clinical trials. So for phase 4 study, it is also known as post-marketing surveillance. So it is in this we will discuss about the harmful effect that is discovered may result in drug for being no longer used or no longer sold, and that have been restricted in special areas. On September 30th, 2004, Mark withdrew rofecoxib. Rofecoxib is used as a osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis in the treatment. So from the market, this drug is withdrawn from the market because of the increased risk of heart attack as well as for the stroke associated within a long-term use or their related high dose usage. Phase 4 objectives. Phase 4 is known as post-marketing surveillance. So for that we have evaluate the benefits, we have to evaluate the risk and optimum use. So we confirm about the efficacy, safety profile in large population during the practice. We will detect the unknown or a rare adverse drug reactions. We will also evaluate the overdose. We will identify the new indications and dose refinement, evaluation of new formulation, dosage and duration of treatment. In phase 4, we will also compare about the benefits and risk assessment. We will also go for the pharmacoeconomic study. Pharmacoeconomic means that is cost related. We will know the benefit of cost assessment that is ongoing in the treatment. We have to compare the ongoing treatment and medication treatment which is more benefit and which is having less price in the market and giving the more therapeutic efficacy. So we can also take the drug usage in the community, quality of the life assessment. So after knowing about the adverse drug reaction, so how you can report the ADR? So if a healthcare person suspect any particular medication is associated with an adverse event observed during the course or during the clinical trial phases, so he can report the adverse drug reaction in a formal or in a reporting way. So there are various reporting system. For in India we are having CDSCO, that is National Pharmacovigilance Program. For UK we are having yellow card system. For US FDA and WHO international system. So these are all for the reporting of adverse drug reaction that will be found during the clinical trial phases or after your drug introduced in the phase 4. So this is an overview for the drug development timeline. So we are having in vitro studies, we are having drug discovery phases, then after that we are having animal testing that will be going on the laboratory basis. Then after complete of this we have to file for INDA submission, investigational new drug. Then after that we are going for the clinical trial, that is known as drug development clinical trial phases. So for this we are having phase 1, it is to evaluate the phase 1 we are taking 100 to 20 to 25 patients, so it is a safe and we will evaluate the pharmacokinetic. In phase 2, does it works in a patients, we are taking 100 to 300 patients. In phase 3, we are taking 1000 to 3000 to check the efficacy, safety and to monitor the side effects. That is, we will evaluate the drug metabolism and safety assessment. Then in phase 4 after complete your phase 1 to phase 3 we have to file for NDA submission, new drug application. Then after that, after the approval from the new drug application, we have to file for the phase 4, that is known as post marketing surveillance. For post marketing surveillance we have to go for the evaluate drug risk and their benefits analysis. So it is known as post marketing surveillance. So it will approximate take 5 to 6 years or more than 10 years according to your study. So in clinical trial, so this is the summary of your clinical trial or your phases. So this is the phases. For phase 1, the purpose is to safety, to evaluate absorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, their bioactivity, the drug-drug interaction we will find in phase 1. It will take healthy volunteers, then the scope is 20 to 100. So the length of the phase is 6 to 12 months. In phase 2, it is a short-term side effects and efficacy. We will do for the short-term side effects, we will evaluate the short-term side effects as well as we have to evaluate the efficacy of the new medications. So the subject is indications, we have find the indications, we are taking several hundreds to 300 patients, it will take 1 to 2 years. Then in phase 3 we will check the efficacy study, then their safety for labeling for any new formulation. So it will take 100 to 1000, so it will take 2 to 3 years. Then for phase 4 it is post marketing surveillance. Your drug is under the marketing surveillance. They will understand about the risk and development processes, so it will take more than number, it's more than thousands. Okay, so for it will take 1 to 5 years. So this is all about your clinical trials. Thank you.